I don't need to agree with it, and I don't need to be comfortable with it. John Travolta once said, when speaking about life's uncertainty, quite the contrary. That statement captures the mindset of a man who has learned repeatedly that tomorrow is never promised. Some people move through life without ever facing deep personal tragedy. For John Travolta, heartbreak became a recurring presence. Yet what defines his story is not how much he lost, but how he chose to live afterward. Rather than becoming hardened or bitter, he developed a rare emotional honesty. He doesn't pretend grief disappears. He acknowledges that loss stays with you, shaping how you love, how you prioritize, and how you move forward. This awareness didn't diminish his life, it clarified it. Over time, John learned that acknowledging mortality isn't surrender. It's an invitation to live more deliberately, more compassionately, and more truthfully. A young star confronts love and loss too soon. At just 23 years old, John Travolta was on the brink of superstardom when life delivered its first devastating blow. While filming The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, he met actress Diana Hyland. Despite the age difference and their on-screen roles, a deep connection formed quickly. John later described their bond as unlike anything he had experienced before. Diana brought warmth, wisdom, and emotional grounding during a time when his career was accelerating rapidly. As Saturday Night Fever prepared to launch him into global fame, they were quietly planning a future together. But that future was cut short. Diana's health declined suddenly, and within weeks it became clear that she was dying. John left everything behind to be with her. On March 27, 1977, Diana passed away in his arms. For someone so young, the loss was overwhelming. It permanently altered how he understood love and vulnerability. The goodbye that cut even deeper. As John struggled to process Diana's passing, life delivered another cruel test. Less than 2 years later, his mother, Helen Travolta, was diagnosed with breast cancer. Helen was not only his parent, but his greatest supporter. She had introduced music and theatre and creativity into the Travolta household, nurturing John's talent from an early age. Wanting to protect him, she delayed telling him about her illness, knowing how deeply he was still grieving. When John finally learned the truth, he became her caregiver, visiting frequently and using humor, music, and performance to lift her spirits. It was their shared language of love. Despite his efforts, Helen passed away on December 3rd, 1978. Losing his mother so soon after losing Diana left John emotionally unmoored. Two of the most important women in his life were gone, taken by the same disease. Grief became a defining presence during his early adulthood. Grief meets career uncertainty. Personal loss collided with professional instability as the disco era faded. After early career highs, John Travolta's momentum slowed during the early 1980s. Films underperformed, critics questioned his staying power, and missed opportunities weighed heavily on him. At an age when many are just finding their footing, John was navigating grief, self-doubt, and public scrutiny all at once. Yet he didn't walk away. He continued working, refining his craft and waiting for the right opportunity. These quieter years were humbling but formative. They taught him that identity cannot rest solely on success or public approval. While the spotlight dimmed, he learned resilience. The lessons from this period would later shape how he responded to future heartbreak. he discovered that survival often happens quietly, through persistence rather than applause, finding love and building a family. By the late 1980s, John was ready to open his heart again. While filming The Experts, he met actress Kelly Preston. Their connection was immediate and grounding. They married in 1991 and began building the family John had always dreamed of. Parenthood transformed him. His children became his center, offering joy and purpose beyond any career milestone. Their son Jett required special care, and John and Kelly devoted themselves fully to supporting him. Fatherhood deepened John's empathy and sense of responsibility. At the same time, his career experienced a powerful resurgence after Pulp Fiction, restoring his place in Hollywood. On the surface, life seemed balanced again, but challenges remained. Loving deeply meant living with vulnerability, and John would soon face a loss no parent should ever endure: the unimaginable loss of a child. In January 2009, while vacationing in the Bahamas, the Travolta family experienced a tragedy that shattered their world. Jett, just 16 years old, passed away following a seizure. John tried desperately to save his son, but nothing could change the outcome. The loss was devastating beyond words. John later described it as the worst pain he had ever known. Grief consumed the family, and the aftermath brought additional stress as they navigated public attention during their most private heartbreak. Despite this, John and Kelly focused on honoring Jett's memory and supporting one another. They later welcomed their youngest son, Benjamin, whose birth brought renewed light into their lives. While the pain of losing Jett never faded, John committed himself to being present for his family, carrying grief while continuing to love. Cancer returns. Once more, years later, history repeated itself in the most painful way. In 2018, Kelly Preston was diagnosed with breast cancer, the same disease that had taken Diana Hyland and Helen Travolta decades earlier. Kelly chose to keep her battle private, focusing on treatment and family rather than public attention. John supported her quietly, drawing on hard-earned emotional strength. For 2 years, they faced the illness together, hoping for a different outcome. Despite advanced medical care, Kelly passed away in July 2020. Her death marked the third time breast cancer had taken someone John loved deeply. The loss reshaped his life once again. This time, he stepped back from public life to focus entirely on his children, guiding them through their grief while navigating his own. Learning how to grieve without losing yourself. In the years following Kelly's passing, John Travolta spoke openly about grief in a way that resonated with many. He emphasized that mourning is deeply personal and cannot be rushed or compared. He explained how overwhelming it can be when others project their own grief onto you, leaving little space to process your own pain. His insight was simple but profound. Allow people to grieve in their own way. Over time, John focused on healing quietly, prioritizing his children's well-being while gradually rediscovering his own. For a long while, he existed rather than lived. But healing is not linear. Slowly, moments of joy returned. He learned that caring for himself was not a betrayal of those he lost, but a way to honor them. Choosing life again. By the mid-2000s, friends noticed a shift. John began traveling more, creating memories with his children, and embracing experiences he had postponed during years of grief. He remained devoted to honoring Kelly's memory while allowing himself to move forward. As a father, he spoke honestly with his youngest son about loss, offering reassurance without false promises. His approach reflected maturity earned through hardship. Today, John lives intentionally. He works selectively, flies, travels, and surrounds himself with people who bring warmth and laughter. Grief remains part of his story, but it no longer defines every chapter. He has learned that joy and sorrow can coexist, and that choosing life does not erase love for those who are gone. What John Travolta's journey teaches us. John Travolta's life is not a story of endless tragedy, but of remarkable endurance. He has loved deeply, lost painfully, and continued forward with dignity. His willingness to speak honestly about grief has helped many feel less alone. His journey reminds us that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning how to carry loss without letting it consume you. At 70, John continues to live fully, creating new memories while honoring old ones. His story offers a powerful truth. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, but about choosing to live despite it. Even after unimaginable loss, there is room for hope, meaning, and joy. John Travolta's life stands as a quiet testament to the strength of the human spirit and the enduring power of love.